Directors are plentiful, but sometimes they're few and far between. What am I doing?
You've opened with a very large contradiction, but all right.
I don't know what's happening. But this is what this video is, okay? I was trying to segue into this and I didn't. James Gunn was fired from Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He's now moved on to Suicide Squad 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about directors who were replaced or fired from projects throughout cinematic history.
For good or for ill.
That's right.
Or for about the same.
And we will decide that as we go through, probably.
Ooh.
That's the rating system. That's happening.
Okay.
So here we go. 10 directors that were replaced or fired.
Do you have exactly 10?
No.
All right.
That's the title, though.
Okay, good.
All right. Here's the good one to start with because it spins off the DC Marvel situation.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon was brought over to Justice League after Zack Snyder. Well, he did leave for personal family reasons, but then a story came out that, in fact, he had been let go months prior to that.
Right, okay. So what were they doing in the interim?
I don't really know, to be honest. They were making the best movie that they could. And it turned out, I mean, for good or for ill, it turned out pretty good.
I disagree. What is wrong with you? Why do you keep pushing this narrative? Are you being secretly funded by DC for this? Because we're openly being funded by Marvel. So stop taking extra money under the table, all right?
I'm trying to balance the perspective of
fair and balanced,
of
I
this
understand.
thing, you know what I mean?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Joss Whedon.
Yeah, so what ended up happening, he reshot a lot of it, including the bit at the start where Batman's on the rooftop. You know, remember he finds a parademon or whatever?
Yes, in that completely CGI rooftop.
A lot of it was color graded. They brought back Henry Cavill and removed his mustache digitally. The whole final sequence is different than what it was.
Oh, how's it different?
Well, it wasn't going to be Superman just flies in and just beats
him
up
up.
the villain.
Right.
It was going to be
more of a team effort?
I think so, and it was going to be. I think.
Well, then release the Snyder Cut. That's what I say.
Yeah, his allegiance was going to be a bit shaky at points, or whatever. He wasn't going to be as jovial, I think. And also,
it sounds like a better movie, to be honest.
I don't know about that, but also they took out the bit where Cyborg says,
You should probably move. Yeah.
And that is unforgivable.
That's
why it's
right.
for ill.
Yeah, release the Snyder Cut. That's what I say.
All right. I've got another one here, though. It's also DC.
Okay, great.
Superman 2.
Oh, yes.
Richard Donner, who shot Superman 1 and 2 around the same time, he'd mostly finished part 2 in terms of filming. There were bits and pieces to be picked up, but he was removed from the project and replaced by Richard Lester.
And why was he removed?
There was
Troublemaker?
conflict between him and the studio and things of that sort.
I see.
Even though he'd shot most of it, Lester had to fill in some stuff at the end. They couldn't get Hackman back, so there's some scenes where you just see him in the background. That's right, they're going to get Hackman backman. So you see him in the background, and it's not Gene Hackman.
Right,
So they had to just kind of work around the footage they had. There is actually a version of the Donner Cut that exists.
Release the Donner Cut!
They have, it exists.
Okay, then!
You can watch it. I think it is better than Superman 2, but I think it is definitely for ill, because if you look at...
Hang on, which one is the Donner Cut or the other one?
No, removing him from the
Right,
project. Because if you look at Richard Lester's next Superman film, which is Superman 3, that movie is atrocious. And it is barely a Superman film. It's a film about a guy who steals money from a computer.
Yeah. It's a
Richard Pryor.
It's a Richard Pryor wacky comedy.
He falls off a skyscraper with a set of skis and just lands in the street.
Yeah, right.
And then there's a terrifying robot at the end.
That's right.
That freaked everyone out as kids, specifically me. I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what this whole video is about. This, isn't it?
People hate 4.
Yep.
4 is 10 times better than this.
I think
at
you're
least
right.
4 is an actual Superman movie.
Exactly. At least 4 is Superman versus like a villain of equal power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But to 3's credit, there is a bit where Superman gets drunk in a bar and then he fights a version of himself.
That's right.
I do like that scene.
Okay,
but everything else in that film is the worst thing ever made.
It feels very much... That is a movie that feels very much like they had a pre-existing script.
Yep.
And they just add Superman every couple of paragraphs.
Just have him pick up Richard Pryor
right.
22 minutes.
It was going to be a hot air balloon, but we replaced him with Superman. Just a stray hot air balloon.
Right. This isn't a big budget film, which I think is the only type on this list, because I mostly went with blockbusters. But Edward Norton took over the editing with another editor also on American History X. After Tony Kaye had some studio problems, he was removed, didn't have a say on the final edit. He wanted his name removed from the film entirely, so it would have been an Alan Smithy situation, but that didn't end up happening. So the end result of that film is largely an Edward Norton influenced project.
Interesting, because he likes to get in there. He likes to have some editorial control over his films,
well,
right?
That's also, and that's also apparently what happened with the Hulk movie that he was in. He tried to kind of step in and interfere, and Marvel were like, "Get the fuck out of here! You're fired. We don't do that here."
Yep.
So he was
Oh,
obviously
that's an early
replaced.
warning sign that Marvel do not like being interfered with.
Well, that's exactly it. And that could lead us into some Marvel ones, specifically Edgar Wright.
Hang on,
Ant-Man.
American History X, good or ill?
I don't know what the other version would have
Me
been,
neither.
so I couldn't say, to be honest.
Well, maybe it's a one where the Nazis take over the world. In which case, this version for good.
Yeah, but I bet there's some people watching this video who don't think that's the case.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Edgar Wright was replaced on Ant-Man because when he was brought on board in the mid-2000s, it might have been like 2006, that was going to be one of the Phase 1 Marvel movies.
Yeah, right.
He was going to be kicking it off with your Iron Mans, with your Thors. The movie kept kind of getting pushed back, and by the time they ended up making it, the vision of that universe and the world had been shaped in a way that didn't fit what he wanted to do.
It really did. I think that it wasn't really clear how the universe was going to be, and then I
Yeah.
think Jon Favreau and a couple of other directors sort of went,
It's like this.
it's like this. This is, let's have a fun, loose style, and let's kind of, let's make it fun and self-referential and
Anyone can put their stamp on it, except Edward Norton.
Yeah, then they put the stamp on it, and then Disney were like, okay, this is the moneymaker.
Yeah.
Now do not deviate from this at all.
Yes.
So,
Now, Edgar Wright ideas did kind of flow over. We don't know specifically which ones. I feel like you can kind of tell.
You can get a sense of them, yeah.
I don't hate Ant-Man at all. I think it's pretty solid, considering they fired the director so late in the day.
Yeah.
But I kind of will always wonder what Edgar Wright would have done with that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's really good considering how the change in directors.
Right.
I think it's pretty impressive.
I didn't love it initially, and I think maybe it's for that reason that I was like, man, well, it would have been nice to see an Edgar Wright version.
Yeah.
But I have warmed to it since then.
Okay, good.
Because the characters in it are very likable.
Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of that stuff, though, the casting and I think the action sequences seem to be Edgar Wright inspired.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I don't know whether that's true, but if it is, then I said it and I'm right.
There you go.
But on the Pixar movies,
Yes.
you don't really know who's responsible for a lot of these. There's a lot of John Lasseter and a lot of who did The Incredibles, Brad Bird.
Yeah.
But the directors were replaced on Ratatouille, Brave, Toy Story 2, and Cars 2. So there's been a lot of shifts behind the scenes of those movies. Because they,
Right.
again, have that Pixar model. They got certain things in mind. People say that Brave kind of suffered the most for this because the movie was going... I haven't actually seen it, but the movie was going a certain way. And then it just kind of took this weird turn
Right, okay.
for the worst.
So that's studio interference.
Yes.
On the property that they own.
Yeah, and a movie I haven't seen.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go with Star Wars. The most famous one is probably Solo, where Phil Lord and Chris Miller were removed and then replaced by Ron Howard because they were playing too loosey-goosey with the format of Star Wars.
Little bit improv, little bit,
Yeah.
going their own way.
Going their own way. I thought Solo was fairly mediocre. Not terrible, but just kind of a whatever film.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen just something where some things happened and I went, oh.
But what? In what? Like a bigger scale?
Some
What?
snappier dialogue.
Right, uh-huh.
I thought everyone was good in it. What
Yeah.
happened? I thought the action sequences they were okay.
I had a
for the
fun
most
time with
part.
it, but I have not gone back to it.
Yeah.
And I probably won't for a while.
It did-
Until I want to see that scene where Darth Maul unsheaths his lightsaber and waves it threateningly on a telephone call.
Just so we all know who he is.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of those things, specifically the action sequences, were probably already what they were going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the story went that they just shot the script, which they
Right,
said was
uh-huh.
one of the better scripts in out of the new Star Wars films.
Right, uh-huh.
But it was just, to me, it just felt like a checklist. And this is your name, and this is how you learn to fly, and this is your dice.
And here's your blaster, and here's your vest.
Yeah, and here's your Kessel Run, and you've been betrayed. Now you're Han Solo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
Well, now you've put it that way. Ill.
ill. Maybe it would have been worse. I don't know.
I don't think it would have been.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I think it
I
would have
prefer a
been better.
massive swing and a miss than
I agree, yeah.
an
Uh-huh.
average thing. But I understand why studios don't want that because those movies generally don't make money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Next up we have... This one was more kind of kept under wraps. But
Oh,
Gareth,
this is number 10, so that's great.
That's right. Gareth Edwards was replaced on Rogue One. Tony Gilroy came in and did a lot of reshoots, and the whole ending in that movie is different. It seemed like the studio wasn't happy with the ending. It ended with him running across the beach. Oh, sorry, the team, not Gareth Edwards running across the... Maybe it did. Maybe
It's me! I'm the director of the film!
We have to let you go, Gareth. Oh, come on!
Come on, guys.
So, if you remember from the trailer, there's a lot of that stuff from the trailers that didn't make it in.
Yeah.
Jyn Erso has the Death Star plans in her hand, and she's running across the beach, and you see the AT-AT or AT-AT kind of lining her up.
Yeah, right.
None of that was in
That's
the
not
final
in there.
film.
There's a
Yeah.
scene where she's she's up the top of the conning tower and she's being like menaced by like a TIE fighter. I think that got cut out as well.
It does happen. Like there is a TIE fighter, but it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, right.
I think they also learnt their lesson from that movie in terms of what happened with Solo, because they didn't release a Solo trailer till way down the line. I think they went, no, this is definitively what is going to be in this movie.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's what actually happened there.
So do we know the ramifications of the ending? Like what differences? Do we know what they were?
We don't really know
at
this point. I think they all died differently. Also, that Darth Vader scene was a late addition.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, that he was in it, but he didn't really do anything. He just went, I'm in this too.
Yeah, right.
This is Star Wars, I'm here.
Uh-huh.
And then they made him do something.
Now we've had a bit of distance from it. How do you feel about that scene?
I like that scene.
Uh-huh.
I don't like the first half of that movie, and then when it becomes all action, which generally I don't care for, but I love the scale of that movie.
Yeah, right.
And I think that is the best space battle in Star Wars. In
Yeah,
a movie where I don't
agreed.
give a shit about any of the characters.
Right. Did you not? Not even at the end? Not even when
really.
they're... Really? Okay.
I mean, I like the bit where you see Cassian Andor's eyes widen just as he's obliterated. So you see the fear on his face.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
And look, and I like that they took that chance and went, you know what? Sometimes in war, nobody gets out.
Yeah.
I thought that was really
There was
interesting.
actually an ending considered where they escaped in some kind of carbonite bomb where they float out into space.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And they're unfrozen later.
Okay,
but no,
right.
they're dead. Speaking of Star Wars, though, we got to wrap this up. Actually, there's two more.
That'll make it 10, so that's
That'll
great.
make it 10. J.J. Abrams has taken over from Colin Trevorrow on episode 9.
Yeah, right.
We don't know specifically what happened.
But it's probably that terrible movie Colin Trevorrow directed.
The Book of Henry. I haven't seen it, but apparently it might not be. He might have been fired or let go, or they parted ways amicably months before that. Oh, also, Josh Trank was doing a Boba Fett movie as well. There's another Star Wars one. Another Star Wars one I just thought of off the top of my head.
Oh, that's great. So it'll make it 10.
So it's it's nearly every Star Wars film.
Yeah, right.
So the only kind of disagreement that we've heard from is that they had disagreements in terms of where to take the story, and apparently he wanted Luke Skywalker to be kept alive.
Oh, this
Trevorrow.
is Trevorrow, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he could use him in his story.
Right.
That is the rumor. I don't know whether that's true.
Uh-huh.
Will his version be better? We don't know because the movie hasn't been released
And
yet.
then, that's right.
As of this video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last one, which will make it
10.
Correct.
Yep.
George Lucas initially wanted to direct episode 7.
Uh-huh.
He went to Disney to sell the property. They'd been negotiating, and he said, what I'll do 7, and then I'll hand it off to you, and you can do 8 and 9 and whatever else. And they went, we're going to throw all your ideas in the bin, and we're going to get a different director. We don't want you to direct this, but we will buy everything that you have. So that's how that ended up happening. It was supposed to be a George Lucas movie.
So you can either have your pride, or you can have $1 billion. And he went,
$4 billion.
$4 billion. And he
4.5.
went, I'll take the billions of dollars.
Plus Disney stock and
right.
whatever. Look, as much as people rag on the prequels, including us,
Yep.
they're very much George Lucas films, and I'd be interested to see what he wanted to do. I don't know necessarily it would have been better. Sorry?
It's just Lucasfilm.
What did I say?
You said George Lucas Films. It's not what the name of his company is.
It should be George Lucas
Films, right?
But I would be interested to know what his version was, and we'll probably find out eventually.
Because he'll just he'll just peel off like $200 million of his personal fortune and make it, I guess. Yeah. Which he could do.
He definitely could. I mean, even though he doesn't own the rights anymore.
He could just make a homage.
He could make a new company called George Lucas Films.
Yes.
And go for it. I'd love to know if anyone has any thoughts on any of these projects or any other ones where the director was replaced or fired or whatever happened. Maybe they died mid-shoot. It does happen. There's a bunch of other ones where this happens. The Island of Dr. Moreau is a very famous one. Spartacus had happened on. But yeah, any thoughts on whether that was for the good or ill or whatever the rating was for this? Tell us and we'll tell you whether we think that's right.
Nice. And if we'll pick one and that'll make it 10.
That'll make it 10.
Terrific.
We also have a podcast called The Weekly Planet where we talk movies and comics and TV shows that comes out every Monday. And there's videos here every Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday. But thanks for watching this. And we say at the end of every video,
grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
And that's 10.